Hello and welcome back. It's been a little while since I've done a video. I've been working on this desk here that we're currently looking at. I'm just going to pan the camera back a little bit. We have a new desktop here up in what we'll call the hobby room, so I can shoot a few videos a little better, get some of my larger projects done without making a mess downstairs. For those of you that saw my atrocious mess on the desk downstairs. Let's get the tripod settled. I've also got a little bit better tripod and I'm still getting used to it, so if I bump it, I apologize now. But today's video, I just wanted to have a quick look at these little passive infrared sensors. I've got it hooked into an Arduino Nano and I'm just using a slightly modified version of the little file that was up in the Arduino playground for using passive infrared sensors. I changed it to use, I think I had to change it to digital pin 3. I have how the LED is working a little different. I'm just going to reboot the reset the Nano. You notice the first thing that I did is I have the warm-up time shortened, and it flashes the LED during the warm-up, just so I know that it is actually doing something. And then when the infrared actually sees motion, which I'm going to trigger here in a second if it doesn't see my head move. Here we go. I just wave my hand over top. When it sees motion, it'll light up that light. Now I shortened the pause period to only a couple seconds. I think it's like 2 seconds or 3 seconds. This little passive infrared, it works plenty fine within that short window, and for the purposes of this video, a couple seconds will do. Now it saw my finger getting close. So if I can keep my hand here very still, it will come out of the trigger. Let's see here. Yep, and then there you go. So you can see it sees motion, which is all very well, but I want to get that working over I2C, and using another chip that I'm just going to take a minute to show here. I ordered these a while ago, and what these are is I2C bus IO expanders. They quite often get used in LCD displays, so you can use I2 in, and then anything that would drive can be driven with less than 8 IO pins. You'd use these, and you're basically talking to them like a memory address, or reading from them like a memory address. It's on the code side of things, it's not too complex, and when I get one of these up and running with something simple like that, I'll do a separate video for that, and I'll show the code. But really, I'm not too worried about these with an Arduino. I mean, it's nice to use the I2C bus for things and have your peripherals done that way, but the real purpose of these little chips, and I'm going to see if I can zoom this in here for you. I don't know if I can hold that still enough for this camera to trigger the autofocus. There we go. Got the autofocus set slow, I think. The purpose will be to use that with one of these little fellows. Well, actually, just show it up there for those of you who haven't seen one. The camera here is a bit different. It's a ESP8266 module, 8266. It's a version 1, and this exact module, and probably recognizable by the pins that know, is actually sent to me from Hari Laguna, I believe I'm pronouncing his last name right. Did a Hari Fun video where he showed daisy chaining these guys and how you can program them. And what I want to do is take this little 3-volt guy and use these chips here, and these chips will run down at the 3-volt logic level. But I want to take one of these little guys that only has 2 GPIO pins and expand them up to 8 with this. And the nice thing about this is it's going to be 8 pins that don't have any funny rules, because if some of you have been using the ESP8266, some of the GPIO pins are dual purpose. They have states on boot and programming and stuff that you have to watch for, even if you have the ESP12s, the version 12 chips, which I just don't have one up here at the moment. They have funny modes when you boot them up, and you can take their I2C bus and put it into something like this for a peripheral, set the address pins on this, and you can get, I think you can have 3 of these ICs on one I2C bus before you have to use the variant. There's a variant of this chip that has a different one letter, and its starting address is a tiny bit different, so I guess you can get a few more. I'm not sure of the exact total, but it's probably more than needed. But this would allow 8 general purpose IO pins from one of these, and it's simple addressing. I'll probably just write a little library that'll make it just like digital read, digital write, and hopefully we can get some of the more home automation type stuff running from this, because that's really my end goal there, is some home automation and maybe even running a CNC machine from one of these little fellows. And again, the speed will be a little bit slow because that would be over I2C, but my end goal would be get some of the home automation and security stuff, which is part of what that's for, running on one of these little ESP8266 version 1s. They're quite cheap. Oops. And the other thing that's handy about these little guys, for those who have ever used, and I have one up here, is the Charlie Plexed board. If you've ever used the Tiny 85s, and this is the DigiStump, I think this here is a clone of the DigiStump unit, where it has serial, it has a tiny small boot time that you can reflash it or write the program to it. Again, this also has some pins with some short number of GPIO pins, and some of them are tricky. They have some things like there's already pull-up resistor and LED and stuff on them that might get in the way with some of your other coding that you might want to do. Again, it has an I2C bus, so very simply, operating already at the correct voltage level, you could use one of these fellows. We give you instantly 8 more GPIO pins, or you take 2 I2C bus and get 8 GPIO pins. The one downfall of these chips, I'm just going to quickly mention so that you all don't rush out buying them and think this is going to be amazing. They can't run at the full 100 megahertz. At least I have, according to their spec sheet, they stop at 100 megahertz I2C bus. I've had some good luck with I2C modules that work at the 400 megahertz, and it runs pretty good, like the Adafruit motor driver for driving stepper motors on an earlier CNC project I did. But these guys are only at about 100 megahertz. So again, don't go running out and expecting them to behave just like the regular GPIO ports on your Arduino. But it will make a few things pretty simple and somewhat isolated. You could not worry, like if you burnt a pin out in one of these on a project, these things, I think 10 of these was $1 or $2 from Alice, and really cheap, really. So you have your little boards like this and the ESP boards that have limited I/O capabilities. These little chips make something like that work. See, I think you guys can see the number. That's PCF 8574P, and I think there's an 8574AP that is a just has a different starting memory address. Everything's the same, but the I2C bus memory address is slightly different on the start. But more so for today, it was just a quick look at this little infrared sensor. It's very small, so you could fit them inside a small tube or whatever you had to do. Coming up with a case would be very easy. Not hard to work at all. This little power supply is a little bit finicky. Anyhow, it's just a status update. It's been a while since I did the last video, and I've sort of got things in the room here ready to do a few more videos. So as always, thanks for watching and stay tuned.